to take as good a photos. I'm rubbish.
Okay, if you'd like to listen to take your seats, last drinks, last snacks will begin in 1 minute time.
I feel gross in the prepared now you've got that.
Okay, I think we're about to get going. So, if everybody wants to get their last drinks and sit down, we are starting right now. So, firstly, thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to see so many people here. I'm super patchy, aren't I?
It's quite close. I don't know if it's quite.
So thank you very much for being here this evening and welcome to the Hopper HQ Trending Panel. Can I swap with that microphone whilst we sort this one out? Thank you. We're quiet, we're patching. We'll go like this until I can project. So welcome and thanks for joining us at the Hopper HQ Trending Panel. I'm Mike, I'm one of the co-founders of Hopper HQ, which is the planning and scheduling tool for Instagram and lots of other platforms as well. There's quite a few familiar faces here. Who has been to one of our trending panels before? More than that. I know you guys, okay? So those of you who have been know what you're in store for, and those of you who don't, the panel and I are generally here to incite, delight, and generally rock your world for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So today, the topic is the power of influencer marketing. We're feeling the power. About 4% of people are feeling the power.
Good engagement rate.
It's not bad, yeah. 4% is engagement rate. We're liking that. So today we have two panelists, which are experts in the influencer marketing world. Now, there's only two, we usually have three, but that doesn't matter because actually these guys represent influencers. They represent, I'm just going to go without this, is that easier? Yeah. Yes. Influencers, brands, and of course agencies. Our panelists have had a huge amount of experience, not just conceiving, strategizing, developing, but actually creating influencer marketing campaigns from all different angles. It's not convenient when someone makes a coffee without the mic. But tonight we are joined by the one and only Jamie Rockers. Big round of applause. Jamie is an influencer and blogger at Beauty Rocks, but she's also the PR and social media manager at Crabtree and Evelyn. So she is here with two very prominent hats. And we also have the wonderful Harry Hugo. Harry is the co-founder and chief campaign officer, right, of the Goat agency, who have worked with a huge amount of massive and all-size brands all around the world. So we've got a huge amount of insight from these people here. But speaking to a few of you in the room and also by looking at the list of people who've signed up, it's not just these smiling faces before you, it's actually the people beside you where there's a huge amount of value here in the room. So we have people who are CEOs of various different agencies. We have people in corporate marketing, in startup marketing, and just about everywhere in between. So as we move through the topics discussing the power of influencer marketing, we want to hear exactly what you guys have to say. And you'll notice that on your chairs, you have two cards. And these cards are the famous cards of contention. Now, the cards of contention are basically born out of the frustration that we've all been at events and hated what the people in front of us are saying, totally disagreed and have known better. So this, ladies and gentlemen, puts the power back in your hands. Blue is agree, orange is disagree. So if somebody says something that you just disagree with, wave the card at them. Don't be nice here. Well, be nice by not being nice. Thanks. Yeah, I got a little agree to that one, so I'll go with that. So actually, to get us going with the cards of contention, let's see if it works. So I will make some statements, as if our panelists are making statements, and you can decide whether you blue agree or orange disagree. Firstly, Marmite is delicious.
Orange disagree.
Orange is disagree. And yeah, I'm with you. Fully. Disgusting. Okay, next up. Pineapple belongs on a pizza. Blue agree, orange disagree. Ooh, split room. Split panel. Okay, an easy one for all of us, maybe. iPhone is far better than Android. Oh, it is. Very split.
It's more orange.
Wow, I thought we were marketeers. Okay, this one is something that I genuinely don't know, so this is more for my entertainment. Ketchup should always be kept in the fridge. Once opened. Thanks.
Wow, you're specific. Watch out for you.
Feel free for clarifications. And finally, which I think is an obvious one for us, dogs are better than cats. Yes, dog fans. Amazing. So we fully get what we're here for. We fully get what these guys are here for, and do not lose the power in your hands. And ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. So, we might have microphones, we might not, but are we okay with that?
That's fine.
I can try.
Okay. If you can't hear, just wave and scream your cards, and we'll speak up. So guys, just over to you to give us a really brief introduction as to who you are, what you do, specifically within the world of influence marketing.
Cool. I'm Harry Hugo. I'm a 23-year-old founder of the Go agency. We're 85 people in London, 5 people in New York. We're going for 3 years. We're unfunded, and we work with brands like Apple, Heineken, British Airways, KFC, New Look, Lidl, Malibu, you name it, global brands. And yeah, we've been working in influence marketing, only influence marketing for 3 years, and I was doing influence marketing about 2 years before that, so 5 years of experience doing this sort of stuff.
Very cool.
I'm Jamie Rocker, so I run a blog called Beauty Rocks Blog. So I'm a beauty, lifestyle, and travel blogger, and I also work obviously in-house at Crabtree & Evelyn as PR and social media manager. So I've got both brand and influencer side.
Are we okay for volume at the back? No. We're not. You're okay?
Yeah,
First row's good. If we could up a bit, and we are still working on microphones, so that's cool. So, to find out who you guys are in the audience, who here is from an agency? Okay, fair chunk. Who here is from a small brand? Who here is from a large brand? Who here has nothing to do with marketing? Welcome. And have I missed anybody? What do you do? Charity, of course. And who here's a freelancer? Thanks. Nice. Lots of people. Very cool. So we've got a real broad perspective here. So to kind of just bring us all on the level, can we ask the big and obvious question of what is influence marketing?
So this doesn't like that. So influence marketing for us, or influencer, we define as someone who has a large social following, who they can be a personal page with a large social following who you may not know if you don't follow them. So we distinguish an influencer from a celebrity by the fact that we believe Zoella, for instance, has now become a celebrity because she gets papped every time she walks out of the house. She's on Daily Mail every time, and actually, as a 23-year-old who supports Liverpool and loves football, I still know who Zoella is, and I'm not being influenced by her because I'm not in her target demographic. But if I wasn't working in the industry, I probably would know who Emily Canham is because she's got a slightly smaller following, but she's very much engaging and influencing her audience.
I think influencer marketing is having a tribe of ambassadors that are a third-party advocate for your brand. So if you're thinking about it from the marketing side, it's having those ambassadors and having that voice for your brand. So when you do launches and new store openings, that you've got those people on hand to talk about those messages. It's working out.
Maybe.
Hello.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Do you want me to say that again?
Do we want to hear that again?
Yeah.
Let's see that. Oh, yes.
Okay, sorry, I've got a quiet voice. So influencer marketing, I guess, from the marketing side, is having a tribe of ambassadors who are they're a third-party advocate and brand voice for your brand. So people generally, brands can give a lot of messages, but I think it's more trustworthy when it comes from a trusted third party. So from the marketing side.
Do you also make the distinguishment between influencers and celebrities?
Yes, I agree with what you said, basically, yeah.
Well, do we agree influencer marketing is very different to celebrity marketing? Oh, you've not convinced everyone, most people. Okay, that's good. So, influencer marketing, tribe of people who are trusted and followed. Does it work for everyone, for every brand, for every channel? Where is influencer marketing most valuable?
I think it does work for every brand because every brand has new product launches. Doesn't matter if you're in IT or what industry you work in. Every brand has a brand message, new campaigns that come up. So I do think influencer marketing is really relevant for every brand out there because you can find probably an influencer that might be talking about your field-ish. So if you're in the car industry, you might find some influencers who talk about cars. So there are people out there who do talk about niche subjects.
Potentially for every brand and also for every market, would you agree? Or are we looking just at millennials?
I think influencer marketing is global. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And when you talk about markets, in terms of demographics, the people who are, I've got to get the stat right, but 36 to 55 spend more time on social media than 16s to 24s. You just don't see them, they don't comment in the same way, they don't have the same behaviour. I think people need to remember that people are on social media on the whole, but they just use it in different ways. We need to engage them in different ways and use different accounts, and the niche is really important. We need to understand that, and we work across all different niches, all different markets and verticals. The only thing we don't touch is B2B. I think it's a bracket that people will really try and figure out in the next 18 months, but right now it's a very, very tough market. LinkedIn isn't quite ready as a platform to really take hold of. Algorithms haven't quite matured, and it's quite easy to hack, and that's what Instagram and Twitter and the Facebooks of this world have kind of gone against in the last 2 to 3 years. But Instagram is massively successful, and targeting those niches has become ever more easy. If you look at pages like On The Tools, who are a construction page, they've got 1.5 million followers, about 92% male, 92% UK. That's a niche that's incredibly powerful in the UK market in construction, but something you wouldn't necessarily think of straight off the top of your head.
Are there any other examples? On The Tools is a great one, but would that still be considered consumer, or would that be B2B?
It's consumer for those guys. They are selling products like juicing or Wix products, Wix kitchens, things like that. That's their brand deals. That's their bread and butter direct line. They've dabbled with B2B, but having known them for a long time, they're very much a B2C business, and their audience is traders, right? They're doing really well, and they've engaged that audience in an amazing way, in a funny, humorous way, which is effectively what newspapers have done in the past. But now on social media, they're using videos and humour every day to get those guys engaged, and they've now got that niche audience which they can really get to with the targeted products.
Very cool, nice. Cards of contention, guys. Blue agree, orange disagree. Influencer marketing can work for B2B as well as B2C. Oh, we have some optimists here. Love that. Okay, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We see that a lot. It's just not quite yet been cracked. We say that it can be used for almost any market, for almost any product. Where is it working really well? What's leading the way at the moment?
What do you mean? You mean which channels?
Which channels, market, and types of products?
I mean, for me, I obviously engage with fashion, beauty, travel, lifestyle, wellness. I think it's really big at the moment. Fitness, green, beauty, clean eating, all those kind of industries. That's what I watch. I'm not really watching electronics, tech, but it's also working well in those industries as well. So I kind of focus, so obviously my niche is beauty, travel, lifestyle, fashion, so that's the industries that I pay attention to, yeah.
Have you seen from an agency perspective any industries winning?
Sports are a really, really fascinating one. We have a lot of governing bodies and federations that work with us. We've got UEFA, the FA, Cricket World Cup are a client of ours as well, and these guys are really, they're trying to get bums on seats at stadiums, they're trying to sell tickets, they're trying to get people to watch on over-the-top platforms, be it DAZN, who've just come into the market, maybe it's YouTube Live, so sports are a really interesting market. But fast-moving consumer goods are definitely the best way that influencer marketing works, and we can track sales, we can track, we can even track footfall and things like that. We're working with Lidl on campaigns like that. We also work with bookies, with sports betting clients, tracking right the way down to depositors, which is really, really important. And again, we as an agency care about sales and return on investment. We don't care about the PR value, we don't care about the impressions, the engagements, really. We care about what happens at the end of the funnel, because that's really what the client cares about.
So let's go straight into that now in terms of success, what the client cares about. What should we consider as success for influencer marketing? Because previously it was all about engagement or impressions and then engagement. Are people leaning more towards actions now, or is there still success across the board?
I think with all marketing you want action. Those actions can be taken in lots of different ways. That could be getting someone to view a video, it could be getting someone to click to a website, it could be getting someone to talk as an advocate of a brand. And ultimately every single one of these brands wants sales. They want to make money, they want to generate revenue off the back of their investment and their investment in marketing, of which influencer marketing has become a major part of. Off the back of that, you've got to understand the funnel that goes through. So you've got to get people to care about your product, be talking about it. Then they've got to get it to a point where other people outside of the people that have been paid are talking about it. We need to get them to click through to the website, to care about what they've seen on the website, from what they've seen on social media, and then make a purchase, be it impulse right at the time, which is what Instagram Stories has been a great feature for, or something long term, which is what YouTube's always, on a legacy basis, has been great about directing people to make larger purchases. And that's really interesting when you were talking about tech. Having come from a beauty and fashion background, the tech business is very, very similar. People are now buying drones based on what people are saying and how good they are on social media and on YouTube. And that's a £700 to £2,000 investment, but I'm only going to buy a drone if Jon Olsen and Casey Neistat say it's great. That's the significance these guys are holding in the same way that Top Gear had for cars. Now I look at Archie Hamilton, I look at Shmi, I look at what Nico Rosberg's doing on social media, and saying what he's saying about the Tesla. So yeah, it's a real moving thing, but sales is ultimately what these guys are looking at.
So if we're defining influencer marketing as these smaller influencers essentially, some of the names you just mentioned there are celebrities. Mm-hmm. So where does influencer marketing fit within other marketing channels? The interesting point you're saying there around we have the funnel, we need to understand how people move through the funnel. Jamie, when you've spoken to clients that have come to you, do you get a sense of where you interact with other things, or are you asked just to get a certain amount of likes or just to get a certain amount of action? I
think all brands have different KPIs, so I try to find that out. I ask, what's your objective? Is it traffic to your website? Because if you're wanting an Instagram post, that may then turn into a blog post. If you're looking for SEO, if you're looking for backlinks, are you just looking for content? Again, that could be a blog post, because then you get about 10 or 15 images from a blog post. So it really depends. Are you looking for brand awareness? Okay, that might be Instagram. Are you looking to inspire people? Again, Instagram. I also think another thing, to go back to your previous question as well, yes, everyone wants sales. I also think another thing that people do look for is brand sentiment. So I think when you do work with influencers and you do, there are brands that are looking at brand sentiment and how people are kind of engaging with that influencer's content and what they're saying about your brand as well.
And does that come in briefs now?
I do think it's going to start. I do think that's what they look for. They may not say, because brand sentiment is tricky to measure, isn't it? I guess you just kind of you can put a percentage behind it, basically.
It's also about how people are talking and what keywords they're using. Sorry.
Yes, but what keywords they're using around certain brand names. So we did all of Beefeater's pink gin stuff this summer. We've been doing Malibu's stuff for the last 2 years, and both of those briefs are around getting those alcohol brands being talked about in certain ways, and becoming the dominant drink in their field, be it pink gin or be it the summer drink, which is what Malibu's brief is. We're measuring it based on sentiment. We're measuring it based on what keywords are being said around those tea terms, which is pink gin. Okay, is Beefeater #1? Is it being talked about more on a daily basis than Gordon's? And those are the sentiment KPIs that they're looking for. But it has become a more and more of a direct KPI for clients. And I think the alcohol brands that we work with, again, Captain Morgan's another one, where it's incredibly important for them to be seen as the #1 in their field, and yeah, that's a really, really difficult thing to prove, but something that's becoming more and more available.
Am I right in assuming that that is a KPI that would be more exclusive to the larger clients as well, to the businesses that can afford to spend money on brand sentiment rather than direct sales?
I think it's also to do with a brand that has a product that has a disconnect at some point, a digital disconnect. So you're, as a consumer, far less likely to order a crate of Malibu from a digital store than you are going to go, oh, I really want that for my summer barbecue, and then you go to Sainsbury's and go and buy it. And we need to actually track what people are saying about it in the comments and what people are saying about it on social organically off the back of the influencer activity to understand if there's a shift in revenue uplift from Pernod Ricard or Diageo or whoever we're working with. Same goes for footfall in Lidl. You know, we can't track directly if they've seen it on Instagram and then walked into a shop, but we can model that in order to work out exactly the same as how TV models it. And that's kind of where we get into with influencers and brand perception KPIs.
So I suppose this is going back to the funnel and actually saying what needs to be uplifted and then matching the influence marketing campaigns to the right metrics within that funnel.
Yeah.
So going back to your little example, you said you've done a campaign where you actually are able to identify increase in footfall. What are the metrics and mechanics behind that?
It's designing a model to see what works, and we've got to split the different types of store and different parts of the country and target those different parts of the country, and then see the A/B test to see if one part of the country uplifts versus the other part of the country, and then target the niche influencers that are going to impact Wales versus impact Newcastle, and then we see the uplift based on that.
Really interesting. So you both have been in influence marketing for a few years now. It sounds like we're talking about this as a mature marketing channel now, or a more mature marketing channel. How have you seen influencer marketing as an area change over the last 2 years, say?
I mean, I can speak obviously on behalf of the influencer side on this one. I think influencer marketing has changed a lot. I think maybe even when I've been doing this now for almost 5 years. So when I started, bloggers and influencers were really kind of looked at as like, oh, who are they? Like with press events and things like that, you'd kind of be, you know, shunned towards the end of the event. Like the journalists would come in, they would have an amazing day, maybe a nice lunch, and then the bloggers would get shuffled in at the end of the event and get, you know, leftover canapes and things like that. I mean, literally, it was like that. But now I think that's obviously the equalised. I mean, both parties have something to offer for brands, but I think the shift has obviously been more towards digital. So I think influencers have obviously, they've taken more seriously now because they've shown that they can kind of contribute to the ROI of brands.
So with that in mind, and back to your contention cards, those of you in brands, blue agree, orange disagree, influencers are now more powerful than journalists. Oh. So
didn't say that.
I embellish for effect, Jamie, yeah. What have you seen change over the last 2 years?
First and foremost, budget has changed in the last 2 years. People willing to commit to budgets that are actually impactful in the marketing mix, I think is a great step, obviously, for us as an agency and a growing agency. It's great to see that people are actually willing to commit budget, but first and foremost, it's grown because it works. People aren't investing in year 3 because year 1 didn't work. They're investing in year 3 because year 1 worked. So budgets have gone from 10, 20k to 2 to 4 million. You know, those are the sort of deals we're dealing with per brand. So that's a real change in how things have operated, and therefore the whole industry has had to professionalise. Sorry. So it's the whole industry is professionalised off the back of it. So influencers have to become more professional. The agents have become more professional, and it's spiral from there. The agencies themselves that are providing the brand work are also far more professional. He's having a great time.
I know, yeah. Should be up there. Okay, so.
Can I actually add to that as well?
Of course you can.
On the brand side as well, for Crabtree, we don't do any print advertising. We don't see any ROI from it unless you use a code. So if you've got a code and you put it in a print advertisement, of course, then you can track it. Our strategy is now no longer print advertising. It doesn't work for us. So we are only digital at the moment. So that's definitely changed.
That's a massive change. And actually, that's kind of my follow-up question to budgets, and you kind of answered it, is where have...
I'm beauty, but I've also moved house. So, you know, if you start doing interiors, you know, people do follow the journey of an influencer. Some influencers have babies now. They talk about babies, interiors. So they do, you know, follow a life path. So you can change as you go as well.
Okay. Nice. What are the main challenges within influencer marketing from the different hats which you guys have?
Influencers themselves.
Okay.
They're a fucking nightmare. Genuinely. And we're dealing with thousands and thousands on a weekly basis. But I say they're a nightmare because human beings are a nightmare.
Yep.
And unlike any other advertising in the world, we're dealing with human beings on a human-to-human trade, which is it's like being down the market. And you've got to deal with all the quirks and all the different personality traits and everything else that goes with it. So if someone only wants to communicate with you on Snapchat to do a deal, I've only got to communicate with them on Snapchat to do the deal. If it's Facebook chat, it's Facebook chat. I think in terms of our deals, we probably only do 50% of them on email, and the rest is through Instagram DMs, Facebook chat, Snapchat, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I think understanding people's quirks is really difficult, and you need to be able to scale that in a different kind of way to all other marketing channels. I think the other part of it is human beings have problems in their life that mean that they can't deliver certain things at certain times, and that's a problem for all of us in our lives. And when we're relying as marketers to deliver something for a client, and our excuse is that, I'm sorry, that person has just gone into labour, they can't put that video up. And that is a genuine example of something that we couldn't, I have no answer other than that, really. I had to be honest with the client. You know, these things happen. And also people just ghost you sometimes. You set up a campaign, you do everything for them, this is what happens, and then they just go off the map and, you know, okay, well, what am I meant to do here? So it's managing the relationship and managing everything else that goes alongside. This being a human-to-human trade, and not being a switch you flick on Facebook and it just happens, because it doesn't, and this is a manual thing.
I suppose that really puts the value on agencies and networks and stuff. Okay. What other challenges are facing influencer marketing?
Certain brands. I think from the influencer side, I think again complicated briefs again are a challenge, and trying to make that as natural as possible in copy, even if it's a brand you absolutely love. You know, if you've been using it your whole life and you've suddenly got this amazing campaign with this brand, and they give you a brief and there's like 10 brand messages in it, and you think, oh, I just want to say that I really love the product, you know, but your message is diluted with all these salesy messages. So I think if brands could maybe, if it could be a better relationship on both sides, and brands listen to influencers' input when they say, look, this doesn't work for me. And there's also some brands that say, oh, I only want a flat lay. Well, why did you contact me? Because I don't really do flat lays. So, I mean, I do sometimes, but, you know, the brands need to be a bit flexible. I understand if they want a flat lay, but, you know, also, you know, as influencers, we know what's going to work best, what's the best engagement, but sometimes brands have another idea. We want you to post this at 8 p.m. on this night, and we want you to do a flat lay. That's not going to get the best engagement for some people.
I think the obvious one you're kind of steering towards is all the negative press that comes out of, about influence marketing and influencers. I think it goes back to the human thing and the human point I was trying to say. There are bad people in the world, and we're just watching their lives. If you're voyeuristic in seeing this, and the percentage game means that we're going to get people that make mistakes. We're going to get people like Logan Paul, who does something fucking stupid and taints an industry for 5 minutes, and that negative impact does ripple through. But on the whole, if we look at it as an industry, it's something that's growing incredibly quickly. It's something that works versus paid and traditional media, and it's something that's budget is increasing incredibly fast, and people are realising it very, very quickly. And it's important to sometimes ignore what the traditional press are saying, who are very much aligned to the traditional media agencies, who have no idea how to do influencer marketing and no idea how to transition away from their traditional media ways, because they're stuck with their deals with Facebook, Google, and their backhanders and all that sort of stuff, and are scared about how influencers are coming in and disrupting their industry, because that's where the money's going, and they're terrified about that. And we'll see things on Campaign Live, and we'll see things on the drum saying it's not quite going how we wanted to, but they won't see all the successful campaigns that are going on, all the money that's being made, because they don't want to. And I think that's a major part of it. And it comes on to fraud as well, that influencer fraud thing that everyone's talking about at the moment, which is crazy. Like, people have been looking at followers for so long. Talking about how many followers someone's got, it's like we're in 2012. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. You can buy followers in seconds. People like PewDiePie have got 56 million followers, but he still only gets the same amount of views as someone that has 2 million subscribers. So we need to ignore the top line metrics, the things that you can scrape from any sort of data entry database or any platform. We need to think about the real value that these guys are providing, the same way as we look at every other marketing thing.
When we previously spoke, you said bandits of the industry.
Oh yeah, that's another one, yeah. So there's a lot of people out here trying to make a quick buck. This is a market, which I've said over and over again now, that is expanding, and there's a lot of money in it, and people have identified it as a way of making quick money. And you can make quick money. You can be in and out of this market in a year, and you can probably make a few $100 grand, and you're laughing and it'll get away. But at the same time, it ruins parts of the industry, and it ruins the trust. And we're in it for the long haul. We see the value in it. We know it's going to evolve. We're not naive enough to think it's going to be the same thing the whole time. We know guidelines are going to change. We know the effectiveness is going to change. We know platforms are going to change. Influence is going to change. We know the emergence of TikTok is really interesting. We know the emergence of Twitch is really interesting. All these different things, and we have to evolve within that. But this is something for the long term, and bandits coming out is ruining the trust.
Okay. So lots of challenges. There's 2 last things I want to quickly touch on before we go to questions in the audience. Regulation. Is this potentially going to stop the industry in its tracks, or is it just going to change it, or is it not going to matter at all?
I think it's changing as we speak, because I think at the moment in the US now, you probably know more, but you can put things like, say, if you're working with Estee Lauder, you put Estee Partner instead of #ad. So that is changing already, and it is coming here, which does sound a lot better than #ad, because at the end of the day, it is a partnership. So I think if that's moving in that direction, then that's really great. I do obviously, I think our followers, so on the influencer side, I think followers are now used to seeing #ad, and I don't think it's an issue. I think at the beginning it was like, oh my god, this is an ad. what is this? But I think now, people are very used to seeing hashtag ads, and I think as long as the influencer sticks within their niche, I don't see it as a problem at all, because they're still talking about what they would be talking about normally. So I don't see it as a problem. I do think you must absolutely declare, or you can risk a lot. You can risk fines, you can get in trouble. So you must declare if you're working with a brand. Yeah.
Let's ask the audience, as a consumer, the statement is, I don't mind if my influencers are advertising to me.
Okay, agree.
A blue agree, orange disagree.
Fundamentally, people don't mind being advertised to. Like I said at the start, I'm a Liverpool fan. If New Balance, the Liverpool kit sponsor, put out a competition through influencers on the Friday night for 4 free hospitality tickets, and I have to retweet their branded tweet in order to enter, I'll enter because I really like watching Liverpool for free. So that it's simple. We don't mind being advertised to as long as we're being advertised to with a bright product. I think this regulation shit is bollocks. Like genuinely, like it's.
I saw the shakes of head.
It's one rule for one rule for another. Okay, this is a great example. Neymar walks out on the football pitch. He's wearing Nike foot boots. He's getting £50 million a year to wear Nike foot boots. There is no hashtag ad on his boots. It's one rule for one rule for another. These rules and guidelines are written by people who don't get it. They're trying to, again, it comes back to protecting themselves against the traditional. They know they're fucked. So they've got to really strangle the industry in order to make sure they're in control of it as much as they can before it takes over. Gary Vaynerchuk doesn't walk out on stage in Dublin and go, just before I'm about to speak, everybody, I'm being paid 100 grand to be here and talk about VaynerMedia and how great it is. He doesn't do that because he's not an idiot. And that's just not the regulation. But if you put up a piece of content washing your hair with a shampoo, you have to talk about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's no hashtag ad on the football shirt when you walk out with the Nike tag. Like, it's mad. People know it's an ad. They're happy to accept that.
Blue agree, orange disagree. Influencer marketing regulation is bollocks.
Currently, it needs to be reworked. I understand it needs a regulation.
Yeah, no, you've got them. Look,
No. It just needs to be working. It needs someone who knows what they're talking about rewriting it.
And then the other side, finally, the other side of the regulation is actually the consumer awareness, I suppose. Have you seen the consumer awareness change? Obviously, we've seen it change from nothing, but is it still rapidly changing as it is?
Yes, because everyone wants to be an influencer.
Right, okay.
Because everyone thinks it's the easiest job in the world and it's great fun. They just want to do that. Everyone, I go and talk at some of my old schools, and I ask what they want to do as a job, and everyone wants to be a YouTuber.
Sure.
And that's when I was growing up, everyone wanted to be a footballer. Now everyone wants to be a YouTuber because yeah, exactly. And yeah, so the consumer understanding of what this industry is huge, right the way from 7 years old to however old you get, because you're engaging in different ways on different platforms with different influences, and I think it's very open. That's why I think the regulation thing is crazy. People know people make money on social media. They didn't 4 or 5 years ago. I understand that. That's when the regulations were written. That's why it needs to change.
Very cool. Okay. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, just back to the consumer awareness. I think it's people are used to seeing it ads. I don't feel like there's any kind of, unless I'm talking about the wrong thing, drop in engagement.
Ultimately, influence marketing is just a progression from moving from classified ads to advertorials, or moving to product placement in films and stuff. Right? It's a different medium for the same sort of marketing message. So, yeah, thank you.
It's the Coronation Street example.
It's the Coronation Street example where they put product placement in the bottom right in the star credits, and then the Twix bar comes out in the 24th minute. And now, really, there should be a hashtag ad on that Twix bar when that's.
Okay, before we totally lose Harry here, in rage of regulation, I'm going to open it up to you guys. We've got about 25 minutes to answer all of your most complicated questions. Hand goes straight up here, and then I'm over to you.
Hi, great insights. I wanted to.
You didn't write the regulations, did you?
Sorry?
You didn't write the regulations, did you?
No. I run a digital marketing agency in Ghana, and you got lots of influencers also there, but people buy a lot of likes, and it's still early days, so everybody's just looking at the followers. How do you guys choose your influencers, and how do you get rid of the bandits so that they don't, give crap?
I think I can answer this one. I think it takes time to discover the bandits. I mean, if you're working in the industry, you can recognize it, and you can recognize when people bought fake likes, because you can literally look at, like, after 5 minutes they've got 1,000 likes, and you're just like, well, how have you done that? I've only got, like, not that many. So yeah, I mean, some people will naturally get that, but I think you can identify if you watch timings and things like that. What was the other question as well?
Just how do you select?
Oh, how do you select? I think selection, I think you can, if you are thinking about using influencers for a campaign, you can ask them for screenshots of their demographics. Because I see a lot of brands working with people who don't have a UK demographic. So I think it is important to get screenshots of those Instagram demographics, so that you know that their audience is actually from the country that you're wanting to kind of promote to.
Thanks. Any telltale signs on fake influencers, Harry?
I think the biggest telltale sign, like I said, it's a trial and error game. The biggest telltale sign is seeing what happens past the engagement. If you're trying to drive a click, you can't. Driving fake clicks is far easier to understand if it's fake versus engagement, because fake clicks don't buy, fake clicks don't do an extra action. So I think getting them to do something past that is a very easy way to understand if someone's got real followers and can influence their audience. And in terms of selection, it's about what's on brand, what works, but really it's about what's going to actually deliver the results.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Do you still have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
I was really interested in what you were saying about the regulation question, particularly, and specifically, I suppose you started by talking about the difference between celebrities and influencers, and the fact that influencers work within a niche and celebrities are obviously much more kind of mass market and outside of that. Do you think that impacts on the level of accountability that there needs to be, the fact that an influencer is talking to people more directly, and that therefore there kind of needs to be that element, kind of just to play devil's advocate almost, it almost needs to be that extra level of accountability, because people have that impression that, transparency rather than accountability, that they're actually looking at a friend in a way that they don't think when they're watching Coronation Street or watch the Champions League.
Yeah, I think it's just a social construct, right? People that have thought that they are, and that's kind of what's made it so successful. I agree that people think that they're friends, but before people thought certain celebrities were a friend, that's kind of why soaps have become so popular, because you see them every single day. It's exactly the same as watching a daily vlog. Like it's just daily vlogging 20 years ago, and there's no correlation between the regulation in these two examples. It's just, if it's on social media, you have to do that, and if it's not, then you don't. That doesn't make much sense to me, because celebrities still have to adhere by the hashtag ad stuff and all that sort of thing. So, and if that's the case, that's fine, but we just need to make it blanket rather than one rule for one rule for another. That's all I'm saying. I'm happy to adhere to everything, but as long as everyone else does.
Other questions? Come here and I'll work to the back.
Hi, I'm Tal. I'm from the Beano, so a kids brand, but also one of the largest leading kids destinations digitally today. Firstly, I'm interested to learn whether, I was a bit late, so you might have mentioned that, but whether most of your business comes from agencies or directly from brands. That's one. And the other one would be, you mentioned 4 million, which to me sounds like a huge budget. What does that get for a brand? Is that multiple, numerous?
That's like a year-long strategy where we're working and executing a strategy. So both coming up with it more like a traditional media buying agency would, or a creative agency would, coming up with the strategy, implementing the strategy, delivering results based on KPIs. That's kind of what that sort of money buys you. The first question was about
whether you get most of it directly from brands or
So
from agencies.
we're about 10% from agencies and 90% brand direct. we don't want to work with other agencies. Agencies don't really want to work with us because we kill their numbers, and the brand really wants to work with us, not them, because normally the traditional agencies are the one holding the budget. We fall out pretty quickly. Starcom absolutely hate us. We take budget off them all the time. We began working with them and now they fucking hate us. And I'm happy for that to happen. But yeah, the brand direct relationship, we worked out very quickly that after trying to target agencies and bigger agencies as a young guy, I wanted to just get in bed with all the other agencies, big agencies. I thought they've got all the brands, they'll just pass me work and I'll do a great piece of work for them. And then they'll just open me up to the whole agency and they've got all these brands, it's going to be easy. It turns out they don't do that. And you have to get in bed with the brand and you have to build a relationship there and deliver for them and they make the decisions.
Jamie, same question to you. Do you get most of your work as an influencer through agencies or brand direct?
So I work with the Blogger program a lot, obviously on a lot of campaigns, because they do my management side as well, so I get quite a lot of collaborations through them, so agency. And then there's also things like what we were talking about before, you know, the apps things that we talk about, the Uber for influencers. Yeah. So basically there's these apps that you can use and they occasionally they do work with big brands. One that I like is Stamp. They're quite fair, they work with really nice brands, so that's one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Your question, is it still?
Well, obviously you guys started a long time ago when the word influencer was still an exotic word for many of people. But now it feels like everybody's an influencer. And my question is, do you think the word is overused? Or what makes a person an influencer? Which are the criteria? Is it the title on Instagram? Are there certain boxes that they have to tick to be an influencer?
Yes, the term influencer is 100% overused. I wish there was a better term. I wish there was a less wanky one. I hate the fact that we're called an influencer marketing agency. It sounds terrible and incredibly boring. But in terms of what makes an influencer, it comes back to what I said right at the beginning, which is they have to be able to influence. First and foremost, that's what they need to be able to do. If you've got 50 followers and you can make 20 people make their buying decision differently, that's an influencer in my book. Now, obviously, those people are harder to find, and they're far rarer than someone that's got 10,000, 20,000, a million followers, and they can make 200 people's buying decisions change, but or perceptions change on something. But that's all I care about really when I'm looking at campaigns and looking at different influencers and what they do is actually what they influence and the results that they create, not followers, not whether or not they've said I'm an influencer or a content creator in my bio, because likelihood is they're not.
Just quickly, yeah, I don't, because we've got the power of influencer marketing as the talk for this evening, I've called myself an influencer, but I don't like to call myself an influencer when I'm meeting people. Hi, I'm an influencer. No, I don't like the name, so I usually say blogger if they ask me, because I do have a blog that's been going for about 5 years, so I generally say blogger.
Thank you.
I was just going to go back to your question about having like a budget of like 4 million for the year.
Like 40
Yeah,
million.
great. So that's how you work with the brands. But then, if you've got that budget, how would you work with the influencer? Would you be like, right, we're going to get you to commit to a year worth of content, and therefore they have a discount, or how do you work with them like that?
So we're on basically a pay-per-post system. We take all the liability on the influencer's content. So we have guaranteed ahead for the brand as to what's going to happen for that money. So let's say it's 4 million views for £10,000. We will then contract the influencer separately on a pay-per-post. We know that from data and from experience, this person will drive X views of that 4 million. We'll spend £1,000 on them, £1,000 on them, whatever. If they don't, we lose money because we have to spend more money on other people in order to hit that number. If we don't hit our guaranteed number that we guaranteed to the brand up front, we don't get paid. That's our model. We made a product out of the service industry. We're not agency guys. There was 3 of us that set this agency up, and we realised, having worked with loads and loads of agencies at our previous company who'd all screwed us around and didn't deliver the results they said they would when they sat on the table, we went, well, this is crazy. Why don't agencies just do what they said they were going to do? So we just made an agency that did what it it said it was going to do, which is fairly simplistic, but doesn't seem to be very popular.
Cool, thank you. Other questions? Yes. We'll go here and then you can pass.
Hi guys. So first it was print advertising, then it was digital advertising, now it's more influencer marketing. What's next, and if it's staying in influencer marketing, how is that going to change?
I think influencer marketing will carry on just because then you do have that third party that's talking about your brand that's still very powerful. But I do think obviously social media marketing is very big because you can use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to target your exact audience. So if a brand says, right, I want to target a 28-year-old urban millennial, then they can target that through social media. So I think a mix is good because that's still a brand message. So if you're doing social media marketing, you've got brand messages going out to that consumer. I think you still need to add in the influencer so you've got that third party to also talk about your brand, also targeting the same consumer, if that makes sense.
I don't think we know what the next thing is. I think everyone says it's VR, AR, AI. I don't think it's any of those. I don't think it's voice. I don't think we've seen what it is yet. Normally when something comes out, it's a hit pretty quickly. Influencer marketing has only been around for a very, very short amount of time, and it's really popped out. Facebook ads launched and it was really, really big, and we don't normally launch something. Alexa has been out for a long time, and it hasn't really stepped forward. Like, in my opinion, it's because it's not that great. VR has been around for a long, long time, and it's terrible. And AR is useful for some things, but it feels like one of those things where marketing agencies are using it just so they can say they used AR and get more budget from the client. AI is exactly the same thing. So what's next, I'm not sure. I think the next big thing is going to be a new platform that really, really takes over. And that could be taking over a certain demographic. So TikTok is a great example of that. It's a platform that's taken over the 8 to 18-year-old demographic worldwide. It's huge in Asia, it's huge in the UK, huge in the US. And it's got 600 million users worldwide on a monthly basis, which is bigger than Instagram. But I reckon not many people in this room will know what it is, because most of the people that use it are well below our age group. But effectively it's just vertical video that's 15 seconds, overdubbed with music that's supplied by Apple Music. It's a hybrid between Dubsmash and Vine, really, and it's been incredibly successful. It's just bought Musical.ly, which was another huge platform, and the ByteDance bracket, and it's going to succeed because of that. And it's got the user retention. It needs to bring out analytics in order to really succeed in the next 12 to 18 months in order to advertise through properly, and so people understand how many different people and the demographic groups that the influencers have on it. But some people on that platform have got tens and tens of millions of followers, and it's unbelievably underutilized and incredibly undervalued. And Beano would be a great example of a brand that should be looking at TikTok as a #1 platform, because that's the demographic you're after. And Christ, is it undervalued versus YouTube and Instagram, and worldwide as well.
Awesome, thanks very much. The mic has been passed on.
That's me, thank you. So totally not related to this topic at all.
Nice to have you here.
Actually, I don't really work in influencer marketing. I work as a product manager for Pizza Hut, but I do run like an organic skincare as a side gig. And my question is, not sure if it's just my naive perception of influencer marketing being quite saturated, given that it was really big and got really popular really quickly. So I'm just wondering if you have any insight, and I don't know who wants to pick it up, but how you can stand out in this sea of, tons of people constantly vying for attention in like real-time basis.
You need to be doing something a bit different. I think we've seen multiple different verticals of content come out. We saw in sort of 2013 to 2014 the YouTuber rise, where people were just creating challenge videos, and that was huge. In 2015 to 17, we've seen the Instagram blogger and content creator come to the fore. in that period as well, we had the Facebook creator and the viral video creators, like Bibles, Unilads, who all went huge on Facebook when video was hugely pushed. Now, are we going to see people on Instagram TV take it forward because that's a platform that's available to people, but they haven't really pushed it forward? What's really interesting about Instagram TV is it's on a platform where people have traditionally taken still imagery, and the people who are great at creating video content are on another platform that's monetizing, and Instagram TV isn't, so why would they create? So we need a new set of people to come onto Instagram TV to create video content, because you're not going to get those people from photo to video in the same way. And you need to evolve within what's happening on those platforms. So be it daily vlogs, you need to be playing to what those algorithms and what the platforms are really promoting. Over 10-minute content, great first 5 to 10 second content, and great thumbnails, titles. You need to be playing the game at the same time as everything else.
Great, thank you. Do you have anything on that?
Yes, you're right. It is oversaturated, and also the beauty industry is also very oversaturated. So I think you also have to go back to your brand about what makes you different. Are you using any ingredients that are really going to be trendy and upcoming? I think things like trends forecasting, like WGSN, is really good to kind of look at trends and things that are coming out for your brand that people will be talking about soon. So I think. Go back to your brand, why are you different, what's your USP? And then again, it goes back to finding the right influencers who are kind of, if you're talking about organic skincare, that you're working with people who are also talking about clean beauty and clean living and all of these kinds of things as well. So I think it is, you're right, both sides are oversaturated, but you can do it.
Thanks. Okay, we've got, who else has a question? We've got one here. Right, should we do speed questions, speed answers? We have about 5 minutes left.
So you're talking about platforms. We recently ran an influence marketing campaign on both Instagram and Snapchat, and all my colleagues hate Snapchat. They I don't know why, they just really have an issue with it and don't think it's a thing. And Instagram, our stats were terrible, and Snapchat, it was fucking incredible. Like, we were just not expecting it. In terms of the future of influence marketing, which platforms are likely to engage the audience the best?
What's your product?
We work with students to help them find a university.
So what's really interesting with Snapchat, it was probably 90% of what all our brands were spending money on about in 2016. It's now probably about 5% of what brands spent money on. But it's and it went for a huge dip, and now it's coming back up the other side because the people that stayed on Snapchat and didn't go to Instagram stories are incredibly loyal to the platform and therefore incredibly engaged to the influencers that are on there. So it's fantastically powerful. But at that middle section, it really wasn't, and Instagram stories massively took over. But now, the world and its wife are making Instagram stories every single day, and it's Snapchat creators are creating more content on Snapchat in a different kind of way to stories, and I think that's an interesting way of looking at Snapchat versus Instagram. But in terms of platforms, it's just what's your demographic, what are you looking to do, what is your objective, and then tie the platform to it. If you're looking to get to 8 to 18-year-olds, I'd 100% look at TikTok, just because it's so fucking cheap. And then Instagram is great for the awareness piece. YouTube is fantastic for telling a story, educating the audience on what you're actually trying to achieve and what your brand is, because you're going to get that longer form content, the deeper engagement. Facebook's great for that kind of hit and that that inspiration. You see a restaurant, you go, wow, that's quite cool, it's quite different. But really, you're going to then look at that restaurant and what people are doing on the geo tab on Instagram. And Twitter is that chronological live event excitement, fear of missing out. We see incredible uplift with our betting partners on Twitter, because it's the live, right here, right now. 4-1 to have Lionel Messi to score next in a Barcelona game at 7:44 when it kicks off at 7:45. People are like, oh yeah, I'll do it because it's in the moment. Exactly the same reason you see betting ads just before the football starts.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Thanks.
So sorry, it's a bit of an interview question, but say the influencer bubble just pops and people become completely disillusioned with it. Where would you see your career pivoting after this?
I'd be screwed.
Who's that to? Is that anyone in particular? Or? Both. Okay.
Well, we'd have to evolve in some other way to become a different marketing company, or we'd fold and like go and find something else to do. But yeah, I don't see that coming right now.
Okay.
I think for me, brands will always need content, so you've got to think about photography, copywriting. Those things will always, people will always need those things, so you can always kind of fall back on those.
If you jump on your cars of contention, guys, blue agree, orange disagree. The Instagram bubble is likely to pop in the next. The influence marketing bubble is likely to pop in the next 3 years. Yes. Influence marketing. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's right. You're safe. Don't worry about it just yet. Someone here had a question. Yes.
Hi, I'm Elena. First of all, thank you for the interesting talk. Obviously, influencer marketing is big. Like, influencers are great. They give us advice, they give us inspiration, but there's also the negative side where people look at influencers and think, oh, they're fake, or they're just posting like the greatness about life, and this is not what life is, and they feel really depressed and bad about themselves. So there's that big talk about how influencing brings depression to people. Do you think that can jeopardize actually the future of influencer marketing?
I think that's changing. I think if you look at Instagram and you look at your influencers, there's a lot more reality, and I think that's coming back into play, is authenticity. So there's a lot of talk now about mental health and about how even people are doing the carousel post where it's like, this is my Instagram post, but actually this is what it really looks like before I edited it, or oh, he has a beautiful picture of the beach, but I feel shit. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's actually swinging the way that you're talking about.
Great, good question. And yes, we will go over here in the middle.
Hi, thanks. When you're trying to capture data on what influencers are doing constantly, what's the best way to capture this data, especially if you have a very low budget, you're just a small startup?
What's the product?
Fashion product.
With e-commerce?
Shoes.
E-commerce? So
e-commerce, yeah.
So it's just a simple, okay, this person posted on Instagram stories, they got, let's say 1,000 views, they generated 100 clicks, out of those 100 clicks, you generated 400 page views, you had 25 people add something to basket, and you had 3 people make a sale at a value of £20 per basket. Then you work out, okay, you spent £100 on that Instagram story, you got 3 sales at 20 quid, there's a loss of £40, but actually the uplift of sending 100 people, dropping a cookie on it, and then being able to retarget that person, those people have seen the brand, there's a value to that. It's about noting down all those different values throughout the funnel, and then optimizing. Trust me, you'll find someone who will, I know one of the guys who works for us, who's our director of operations, also has a jewelry brand on the side called Masoma, and there's an influencer who's got 170,000 followers, who on an affiliate model, effectively, who just gets paid out on sales that she makes directly through clicks, got paid £740,000 last year.
Wow.
She's got 170,000 followers. Wow. That's influence, and that's what can happen. You just need to work out, you need to find those gems, because you'll pay £10 and you'll get £400 back, and you'll go like, this is amazing, I just need to find more people like that. Trust me, I'm trying to do that same thing as well. But there's a limited amount of those people, but there's some real gems out there.
I've got a quick question for Jamie as well. If you've got a very good product, what would be the best way to engage an influencer if you're a small startup?
I think just outreach on, you can DM people as well. Do you know what I mean? If you don't have their most people have their emails on their bio. So you can do some you can just get on Instagram and you can look up hashtags. So if you've got, say, a beauty product like the organic skincare range, you could look up hashtag clean beauty, green beauty, and kind of find influencers that are already talking about it, and then you can simply DM them and say, hey, I've got this, I've got a brand, I really like your content, I really like what you did here, try and make it a bit personal, and then see what they say.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to do one more ambitious question. Can you shout from the back?
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, cool.
mentioned about outreach and how you reach influencers, and I know you, sorry, Harry, you were talking about.
Oh God.
Someone mentioned the question about qualifying an influencer.
Yeah.
It's something that I think a lot of brands and probably most people here, as much as we talk about engagement rates and this and that, is if I find an influencer, how do you actually qualify that they're right for that?
It's very, very difficult, and that's why I don't believe in the platforms that are out there, like the Kumis and that sort of thing, who I think are doing an okay job, but it's impossible to tell just from looking at them whether or not it's going to work. That's kind of the flaw in the industry, especially right now, but it's about having the experience and the data, and that's why I'm saying it's a bit of a trial and error at the moment. You should start small, work out what works, what doesn't, what part, because I bet there's parts of influencers or there's different demographics that you think won't work and actually do, and you'll go, okay, then I can spend less money on those type of people and they return better results. And again, you've got to stop being romantic about what you think will work and just kind of throw a lot of shit at the wall and hope it sticks at the start, and then use that data to then build from it.
Okay.
So use the related searches on Instagram, go and find someone that you think is perfect for your product, and then go and have a look at those people and see who else they're hanging out with, who else they're related to, because that's the easiest way to go and find new people.
So kind of like looking at trends and how people are interacting with one another. That's quite a long process.
It is, it's manual, yeah. We got 60 people that just do that.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys.
It's manual.
That's all right, cool.
We're going to bring this to a close now. We've gone slightly over on questions, but I know there's a lot of really interesting conversations. So thank you so much to our amazing panelists. Let's have a big round of applause. A huge amount of insight there, and hopefully there's lots that you can all take away. So whether you are a product-based business, marketing to millennials on Instagram, or of course any other business, marketing to anybody else on whatever platform, influence marketing could of course be for you. It's an industry that now has more budgets, more maturity, more agency, and as long as you watch out for the bandits, you are making sure you're assigning specs and briefs, thank you very much. Briefs to influencers that are simplistic, have marketing in their core, but actually are authentic to them and their followers, then we can't go too far wrong. Also make sure that we're playing by the regulation, but also challenging it in the way that I'm sure Harry would like us to do.
We're on a crusade.
Yeah, on a crusade. And of course just having respect for the customers and the followers, to making sure that we're being not just authentic, but playing in the rules of the game. So thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all have an amazing time with influence marketing. Before we go and join our pizza, which is probably a little bit cold now, there's a couple of things I wanted to share. If you wanted to keep up to date with everything within the social media marketing world and digital marketing world, you can join our mailing list. It's not an annoying mail, or I promise. It's the trending email. It goes out once a week, and it gives you the latest news, tips, and trends for your social media. Finally, before you go, you'll notice that everybody on their name badge has a number. Now, the number is linked to a ticket. The ticket is in the bowl, and if your number comes out, you do, of course, win some prizes. So we've got 2 prizes for you all for turning up this evening. If you can possibly grab that. Shout out number. So we've got, to make sure that you can all become your very own influencers, we have just some camera equipment to make sure we can up our selfie game, and we will give one of these away now. Can you please read out your number?
781.
Do we have a 781?
So sorry.
Now, there are people that haven't turned up, so we'll go again.
793.
Do we have a 793? That's you. It's you.
You don't need any camera.
Okay, we'll go again. Sorry.
675.
675. Anybody? No? Okay, we'll go again. Let's keep this rolling. We've got about 150 tickets that aren't in the room, so that's all right.
786.
786. Let's roll. Let's keep it going. I reckon we'll be done.
770. It's It's not. It's 770.
770. Let's see.
696.
Can we go 686?
696. And again.
If I find 707.
Statistically, we've got to find one.
792.
792. Wow, we're in this, guys. We've committed. What have you got? Sorry.
705.
Oh, that was close. That was close.
I've got it. 716.
Do people know?
Has anyone got them?
Okay, let's just keep it going. We've got 2 as well.
757.
I think maybe only this guy in the back wants to win. I think everyone's just going to go. Are you in?
Dig in a bit.
Yeah, we need to show
776.
That's you.
Is it? He doesn't need camera equipment.
Oh,
Pay for his camera equipment.
I love the negotiation. Yeah, let's do this quickly.
779.
779. So I'm digging, Harry.
783.
Oh yeah, we'll have a shuffle.
719.
Is that you? Yeah! Congratulations. We also have one more. This is a box of camera equipment as well as a year's worth of Hopper. So Hopper is handling scheduling tool. We have to put that little plug in there somewhere, haven't we? So, final winner.
760.
Oh, you could have lied, Harry!
Sorry, mate. I'll buy it on the way out.
704.
704.
741.
741.
715.
They're all close.
794.
Only 6 in there.
Hold on. All 6.
697.
Yeah! Amazing. We can come to you after and save you hassling through. So that took longer than expected. The pizza is slightly bit colder. Two very last things. You can see that there are other people from Hopper HQ in the room, so do say hello to these guys. They're here to chat everything Instagram marketing, influence marketing, and we run these loosely every month. And if you are interested in any of the other topics, we'll send out links in the emails. We have Is Podcasting a Marketing Necessity in 2018? And also, Is Traditional PR Dead? We were going to do a PR funeral, but thought that was a bit too much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And once again, have a great evening. There's lots more beer, cider, wine, everything you could want. The evening is yours.
Yeah, it was in the 60s, that was cool.